And we are live.
We are live. Galera, Heavy Culture na área. Terça-feira sempre uma atração pesada. E hoje a gente está aqui com Paul Arnold at War. Welcome, Paul.
Obrigado por me receber.
Oh, great.
Christian, seja bem-vindo.
Okay.
A gente aí sempre acompanhou o trabalho do At War, né?
Sim.
E vamos tentar se atualizar. Enfim, o Paul está aqui para a gente fazer isso. Galera, se inscreva no canal, as teclas no sininho, aquela coisa toda. E eu queria começar perguntando para o Paul como é que estão as coisas, né? Tá difícil para todo mundo, sabemos aí que a pandemia aí, principalmente os artistas aí foram impactados. Como é que tá o At War, né? O que foi feito aí nesse período, né, de pandemia? O que ele pode nos atualizar em relação à banda?
Okay, so George was asking about At War nowadays, like what you're doing with the situation of the COVID and all this blockouts and things that are happening. Are you planning something new?
We are always planning something new. Getting it done is the hard part.
Yeah, this is a problem.
What for Sean and I we both have our own businesses, and COVID did nothing but bring our demand up so high. It's put a huge strain on our time. But we're always working on something new, and we have a lot in the ready to go, but nothing actually recorded yet. And we're just trying to find the time. Luckily, we have Maryland Death Fest coming up. It'll be our first big show back since COVID. And it's going to give us the kick in the ass that we need.
Well, that's great. I'm going to speak in Portuguese a little bit. Sure. Bom, ele tá falando que eles estão sempre ativos, né? Estão sempre fazendo alguma coisa nova. Lançar que é o problema, né? Conseguir largar isso é o problema. E eles também estão se preparando para o Maryland Fest, que vai ter agora, né? Então, eles estão ativos, né? Estão só esperando agora com essa situação do Covid para poder fazer show, que nem eu falei ali antes, né? E estão esperando aí para largar material novo. I would like to ask you about the third album, and we hope to have a new album too. But a curiosity that I have about Infidel, is Infidel the same album, or it has anything of the third album that you were supposed to release in the 90s?
That's actually a good observation. We had a bunch of songs that we used to play live back in the late 80s that that kind of dissipated over time when we weren't actually playing. When we got back together, there was riffs in those songs that we really loved. So we kind of did some surgery on the songs, wrote new songs with some of the riffs, and that's where some of the songs from Infidel came from.
Great. Okay. So, eu estava perguntando sobre o Infidel, né? Se ele tem alguma ligação com o terceiro álbum que era para ter saído em 89, 90, ali não teve, né? Aí ele fala que ele tem uma ligação, que alguns eles sempre estavam trabalhando, mas a banda meio que parou naquela época. E eles pegaram e reciclaram algumas coisas e criaram um Infidel. Então, tipo, ele tem bastante do que eles já estavam tocando naquela época, né? Ele é uma continuação bem próxima do Order to Kill também. Quem conhece sabe. Então, é o que tá fazendo. Another question about the future is like, so you're planning to release a new album, right?
We are.
Great. And are you performing any new song for the audience in this new coming shows?
We may debut a new song at Maryland Death Fest. We're talking about it now, but right now we're getting such a demand for the old stuff. People want to hear the first two albums, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. The classic.
It's funny. I mean, I'm like that too. I'm a big fan. I always have been. And when I go to see a band I haven't seen in years, there's certain things you want to hear, right? You just you don't feel fulfilled unless you've heard these. So we get a lot of it, but I think this is something that goes along with all bands from our era, from the early 80s. We kind of made we made a real impact in the 80s, and we're so blessed and lucky to been allowed to continue, that everybody that was there is now our age, and they want to hear this to go back. It's all a mindset.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because even if you have a new album to release, most of the people are going to ask you to play the first songs. It doesn't matter. There are classics that you can't avoid.
Absolutely, and there's no getting around playing those. You know, it's I know. Imagine if you went to see, I don't know, whatever your favorite band is, and you go there and they play nothing that you know. It's stuff. You would be disappointed, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of the concerts of Sepultura here in Brazil, because they were playing a concert for a new audience, and the old audience was like a kind of, which song is that? And then when they played the old songs, the new generation was like, que é isso? What the heck is that?
Well, also, one other thing. I mean, it's that we know that that nothing we do is gonna be breakthrough. You know, nothing is gonna change what we are. You know, we have no desire to be anything more than what we are. We're at war, and we're gonna play at war songs. That's what we're gonna do. And we don't have any designs that we're gonna be the next big thing. And the idea that new music is somehow gonna bring you to a different level. It just doesn't happen with bands of our era, you know. It just doesn't. Albums out, they can have 10 albums out since their last release in 1989, but people want to hear everything pre-1989.
For sure.
The way it is,
Okay. Falando sobre o álbum que tá para sair, eles vão tocar uma música no Maryland Death Fest, mas eles tocam mais os dois primeiros álbuns, né, e o terceiro também, porque é o que o pessoal pede mais, assim. Ele também acha que ele, quando vai num show, ele quer ouvir o material antigo. O material novo, ele tá ali, né, mas a gente sabe, né, quando tu vai num show de uma banda antiga, que nem ele falou aí, com ele mesmo, quando vai também, ele quer ver o material antigo. O material novo, tu até vai ficar meio perdido, assim, mas tu quer ver aquela parte clássica, assim. Então, eu tava falando ali com ele até sobre o show do Sepultura, quando teve show da era Roots, Blood Roots, aqui que tava todo mundo perdido, né? Era fã novo perdido nas músicas velhas e fã velho perdido nas músicas novas, né? Então, com o At War isso não acontece porque, né? Ele já não é uma banda que nem eu falei, não chegou no mainstream. Ele tem a característica dele e se mantém ali. Então, tipo, tu sabe que tá tocando At War. Mas os dois primeiros álbuns é o principal que o povo pede, né? Tipo, tem que tocar aquilo ali, né? Jorge, pode perguntar aí.
Eu queria voltar agora, né? A gente aqui, a Rock Brigade lançou os dois plays clássicos do At War, que foi o Order to Kill e o Retaliatory Strike.
Sim.
Então, portanto, o Brasil aí tem uma relação bastante próxima da banda. Enfim, eu queria que ele contasse para nós, assim, como é que foi o início da banda, né? Como é que foi aquele momento ali, 86, 88, que eu acho que foi um momento bastante bacana deles. Quais as lembranças que ele carrega desses tempos bacanas aí?
Okay, so we were talking about the releases of Retaliatory Strike and Order to Kill here in Brazil by Rock Brigade, and I think in the 90s, the beginning of the 90s, they released the albums here, and you have lots of fans here, I think you know, because of the concerts in 2019, I think, Setembro Negro?
2010, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. So it was like, what are your remembrances from the first two albums, Order to Kill and Retaliatory Strike?
You know, I remember when we first started. The first fanzine I ever saw, we were playing, and we were big fans of, you know, the old stuff, Saxon and Motorhead, and this is before Riot and all these other things, and we started playing the songs from these albums that we would have to order from Europe because they weren't on the stores here, and we'd be playing these songs in our practice rooms, Sean and I and Dave too, and people would say, "Who are these songs? What is this?" And they thought it was something new that we were doing, but it was just that they didn't know what it was. So that aggression that that type of music is what really motivated us to start writing our own stuff. So we started seeing these fanzines coming out, and we're like, we can do this, you know. Let's go in the studio and record a 2-song demo. Let's just do a 2-song demo, and then just start sending it to everybody, because how else are you going to do it? So that's what we did with the Eat Lead demo, and that led to Order to Kill with New Renaissance. New Renaissance was a new label. We'd been offered a contract through Combat, which in retrospect might have been better for us, but it is what it is. And everybody in New Renaissance treated us very well. They, you know, we're still friends to this day. But you know, no sense dwelling in the past, right? But we decided to go to New Renaissance because they were as new as we were, and their attitude was the same as us. And you know, Eduardo down at Rock Brigade, he took us under his wing very early. You know, I believe the first albums were released around 87, 88. I mean, I'm sorry, 88 or 89. The first time they showed up in Brazil, in South America. And I mean, I remember how much back and forth writing I had with Eduardo before he passed away, and back in the 80s, a great guy, and I think he was instrumental in bringing a lot of really really good music, metal, down to South America. And we always, I mean, I always got so much mail from South America. It was one of our dreams in the 80s to actually go down there. We tried so hard, but it was so hard for a young band. To especially with a record label that didn't have any money to be able to send it down. You know, it's always the problem, right? So, no, but I mean, and then going, and then being able to go up to Pyramid Sound with Alex Perialis, who had you know done SOD, and he'd done Anthrax, and he'd done some work on the early Metallica album and all this other stuff. He was a legend to us, and to be able to go there and record with him is some of the fondest memories I have in music altogether. I mean, not only were we lucky enough to work with him, but I've actually become a friend with Alex over the years, and have done things with him in the past. And these are the things. It's the people that I remember the most. And the part of being drawn up in a totally new scene. I mean, this was all new to everybody in 84, 85. Where it was going, and everyone was super excited. The passion was high, which drove all of us to go out and try whatever we wanted to. I mean, the scene was wide open. There were no ceilings really. You know, you never knew where you were going to go in the 80s, and it's unlike that now. Now I feel sorry for young bands now because they don't. I would not want to be them today. It's not the same as it was. It's so hard just to be able to make it as a young band. But I remember the excitement back then. That was the biggest thing.
Ok. So, falando ali dos primeiros álbuns ali, como foi, né? Eles tinham bastante influência de Motorhead e coisas afins, né? Eles gravaram uma demo com 2 sons que começaram a mandar para todo mundo, né? E dessa demo saiu o Order to Kill. Aí no Brasil, eu falei da Rock Brigade que lançou aqui, né? Teve alto furdunço, assim. Ali o Eduardo manteram bastante contato também, né? Até antes dele falecer, assim. Eles ficaram bastante amigos, assim. E ele ficou bem feliz, assim, com essa coisa de abrir um novo caminho para a banda também, né? Porque é o sonho de toda a banda ter, né, o disco lançado, e eles conseguiram isso naquela época. Era difícil, paca. Quem estava ali na década de 80 sabe que não era assim para tu conseguir gravar um disco. Algo muito difícil mesmo. Eles iam assinar com a Combat Records, no fim não assinaram, não se arrepende disso, e acabaram assinando com outra gravadora que era nova que nem eles. Eles eram uma banda nova, pequena. Então, e eles sempre quiseram tocar em outros países, coisa e tal, mas eles estavam numa gravadora pequena, então tinha pouco orçamento também, então isso, né, era difícil de acontecer, né? Tipo, a gente sabe, a década de 80 não era para qualquer banda, não, né? Só os grandes que aconteciam. Então as bandas pequenas, elas ficavam mais no sonho do cara conseguir ver do que ter material. Felizmente nós tivemos 2 álbuns At War lançado aqui pela Brigade, o que deu bastante fãs para eles, assim. Ele gosta bastante da cena aqui, que ele ficou bem fascinado com o que ele viu aqui da cena, assim. É algo diferente para eles lá também, assim, né? Mas a questão toda, assim, do primeiro álbum, assim, até ele fala essa citação toda de gravar um disco e ter ele lançado e as pessoas correrem atrás, assim, uma coisa que ele, hoje em dia, ele tem meio que pena, assim, das bandas novas, porque não é a mesma coisa, né? Ele não gostaria de ser uma banda nova agora. Naquela época, ser uma banda nova já era difícil, mas agora é pior ainda, né? Porque tem trocentas bandas te atrapalhando e coisa e tal, e ainda não tem o mesmo excitement, essas coisas assim.
Eu tenho uma pergunta que me intriga há muitos anos. Da onde surgiu a ideia da capa do Order to Kill? Com aquelas armas, influenciou uma galera. Aí, não sei se eles tiveram dimensão da influência, né? Daquela temática visual, cara. Eu sempre tive curiosidade para saber isso.
Okay, George is asking about the idea for the cover of Order to Kill. Where did it come from? And you know that it influenced lots and lots of bands after that. You know, like there were lots of bands coming up with that kind of visual. And also, you were, I think, together with Sodom, you were the main reference for what we call war metal.
You know, yeah. I mean, first off, we were all big World War II movie fans. I mean, my dad fought in World War II, so I had a direct connection to that generation. Getting my age away here, that I carried on, and as a kid, watching the World War II movies, where in the early days they used actual footage in these movies instead of acting it out. It was really cool to see that stuff. So as a kid, not knowing anything about the horrors of war, it was just cool, right?
Yeah.
So. And growing up, I carried that with me. And then growing up during the Vietnam War as a kid, I saw it on the TV all the time. And growing up, my oldest brother could have been drafted and he wasn't, but his age, I had a direct link with the guys who were actually going to Vietnam as well. So growing up, that was part of what I carried with me. And then, you know, I mean, what is the most sincere form of aggression on the planet? It's war, right? War, good, bad, or indifferent. It is the most aggressive thing that humans do. I mean, no other creature goes around and kills itself like we do, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it was the imagery. It wasn't about when we decided on the name At War. It was like, you know, everybody is at war with something. You know, instead of complaining about it and whining and crying. Get out there and declare war on whatever's bothering you in your life, and take it over. That was the whole idea. So it was just natural that the whole war motif came out with the guns and the camouflage and the bullet belts and all that. I mean, to us, we just thought it was cool. We weren't trying to make any statement. And I mean, I remember calling us war metal back in 1983 or 84 when we were still in our practice room, not having any idea that. And here's what's crazy. Is I carried that idea of war metal in my head for years through the 90s when we weren't really doing anything. I remember going to a record store and the guy didn't know who I was, but he goes, "So you like metal?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, you like war metal?" I said, "Yeah, like At War." He goes, "At War's not war metal." So, what's war metal? And there's some young kid, you know, and he was playing some stuff I'd never heard of, but I just thought that was something. So for us, really, the imagery and all that stuff was we just thought it was cool. We weren't trying to make any statements. We're not trying to be political. You know, because when it all boils down to it, we're all people. We're in it for the music. It's all about metal. I have my own personal politics, but I respect everybody else's. I'm not pushing anything on anybody. You know, a handful of friends is way better than one person that agrees with you.
Yeah, that's bad. So you avoid war. Ok. Bom, o lance da capa do Order to Kill aconteceu naturalmente, porque desde criança eles são muito fãs de filmes de Segunda Guerra Mundial. O pai dele também era envolvido com a Segunda Guerra Mundial, eram bem fãs disso. Quando eles assistiam aqueles filmes, os filmes antigos tinham muito aquelas cenas reais mesmo, misturada com encenação, né? Tu via cenas de batalha de verdade sobrepostas com outras cenas. Então, isso, quando ele estava crescendo, influenciou muito ele. E também pelo fato de, quando eles estavam crescendo, eles estavam no meio da guerra do Vietnã, O irmão mais velho dele não chegou aí, mas amigos dele estavam indo para a guerra do Vietnã, coisa e tal. Então, essa parte da guerra sempre acabou fazendo parte da vida dele. Então, essa parte do visual, ele meio que veio natural por causa dessa coisa de eles serem ligados com essa coisa que eles achavam legais, assim. Não pela matança e não pela política. Ele não gosta de ligar nada com política, tá? Mas pelo sentido natural da guerra, o que é tipo, o ser humano é o único bicho que ele declara guerra por qualquer coisa e é o único bicho que é competente para se matar por motivo nenhum. Então como ele fala ali, é o que mais expressa o sentimento de agressividade à guerra. E muito bem explicado. E é um sentimento que é bem explicado dentro do metal também. E sobre o termo War Metal, ele até nunca pensou nisso, né? Na cabeça dele ele até chamava de War Metal, assim, mas eles nunca usaram o termo War Metal. Mas aí uma vez ele foi numa loja de discos e tinha um piá lá que perguntou pra ele, tu gosta de War Metal? Ele falou, sim. Aí ele falou que, tem What War. What War não é War Metal. Eles sabem o que é War Metal. Para as pessoas hoje em dia é diferente, não é a mesma coisa, assim, mas ele fala ali que ele tenta evitar bastante esse lance político, né, dentro da visão, assim. E eu vou acrescentar uma pergunta, já aproveitar esse lance que ele falou de não ter essa visão política e coisa e tal, né. I want to ask you a question, which is kind of interesting because nowadays we have all this political issue inside music and things like that, political correctness and things like that. One thing that is problematic nowadays with war metal is like the black metal bands preaching Nazism inside war metal. How do you see this fucking bullshit?
You know what? I mean, I go back to individual responsibility, right?
Yeah.
You know, if a band is spewing hateful shit, you know, and you act on it, you need to check your own mind, right? If you're
that's the point.
If you're influenced by what people are saying, and you don't have the wherewithal to use critical thinking and think for yourself, there's something wrong with you. I mean, when I go to see Slayer, I'm there for the music, and I don't care what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
and I think it's cool what they're saying, but I know damn well those guys aren't praying. They're not sacrificing virgins to Satan. They're not doing that, right? And you know, the young kids need to check themselves and realize that this is entertainment, right?
Yeah.
This is entertainment. This is not a religion. This is not. You don't listen to lyrics of bands and take it as being the way you should live your life. You need to use your own mind. And I lose my patience with people that claim that music influenced people to do things. It's not the music's fault. It's the person that acted on it. It's the person that took that actually did the things because they heard somebody saying it. It's not what's being said. You know.
Yeah.
You go and see movies where people are murdering people and doing all kinds of stuff. And you know, it's just a movie. You know, nobody really died when you walk out. That's how it is. And same with music. You know, where there's bands that do horror stuff and they talk about disemboweling people and all that stuff. But you know, it's just entertainment. You know, it's all.
Yeah, I think most people have problems to understand what a lyric really is. It's a context. It's like you said, it's a movie. It's something written with one purpose, not to spread a message or something like that, or preach.
I'd like to say one other thing. The bands that write lyrics and they act like they really mean it. You know, they let's take the black metal bands in Norway that burn the churches down. You know, you know, it's obvious the problems with them. You know, they did exactly what I was talking about. They acted on their own words, right?
Yeah.
But I said I believe it all goes back down to personal responsibility. If you act on something because somebody's telling you to do it, then it's your fault. Yeah. It's not the music's fault. It's nobody else's fault, because you know, if somebody says go kill virgins and you kill virgins, the guy that said go kill virgins didn't kill a virgin.
Yeah.
You did. So you're the one that needs to fry for it.
Yeah, you were the stupid one, actually.
Exactly.
It's like so brainless.
I feel like entertainers, be it metal or any kind of music, can say whatever they want. You know, if they say something that's hateful that people don't like, well, they're going to suffer the repercussions of what they said.
Yeah.
But when people are influenced by things, that I think that goes into the personal responsibility zone.
Yeah, this is something that I really agree with you, and also because I always enjoyed your lyrics too, mainly Elsa.
Ilsa.
I'll give you a quick story if you got a minute.
Yeah.
The first time we played in Germany in 2000, we went back to play in Germany in 2009, I think. Ilsa was on the playlist. Was on the set list. And our sound guy was going through the crowd giving out some stickers and things like that, and the management came and said, "Look, you can't play Ilsa.
Oh gosh.
We don't want you to play Ilsa." And I was like, "Why?" And they're saying, "Well, you know, the obvious reasons. You know, it's Germany." And I was like, "Well, okay, it was our first time there. We didn't want to cause any problems, and you know."
Yeah.
Our sound guy goes, first thing he says is, "I hope you guys are playing Ilsa." And I'm like, what do you mean? The crowd wanted to hear it. So we got on stage, we looked there and said, fuck it, we're playing it. And they loved it. And I mean, let's back up. That song was not written about Nazis. It was written about a stupid B movie.
Right? Yeah, I know. I really know.
It was a crappy movie with chick with big tits in it, right?
Yeah.
That's why I watched it, was because of titties. And I was young, and we just thought it was cool. I mean, Murphy's Law wrote one shortly after we did under the same title about the same movie, right? So it wasn't some ideology. It was a fucking movie.
Yeah, it's like just a lyric inspired by a movie, not something like that. Whatever.
Everything movie, you know?
Yeah. I remember that movie. It came. It came to Brazil, and then I think I forgot the name now. The director did a version too. I can't remember now, but it came to Brazil.
There were several different movies in that series.
Yeah, lots of trash movies.
Ilsa, Keeper of the Oil Sheik's Harem, I think, was another one, and. Sure,
it was a trilogy, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, as far as I remember, it was a trilogy. We're gonna talk to the guys here in Portuguese about it, okay? So, falando sobre o War Metal e também essa ligação do War Metal com o Black Metal, que ferrou com bastante coisa, assim, ele acha que o problema tá na cabeça de quem escuta isso e quer fazer isso, tá ligado? Porque letra é letra. Se tu escuta uma coisa e sai por aí pregando ela, é porque o errado não é o músico, é tu. E tu é cabeça fraca. Porque, que nem ele falou ali, ele não vai no show do Slayer, né? E vai sair depois por aí matando virgem, coletando virgem pra fazer ritual satânico, né? Ele não se importa com as letras do Slayer, ele tá lá pra ver o show do Slayer, né? E a gente tava falando sobre a Ilsa ali, que é clássico, né? Aí ele falando que tem uma história interessante, quando eles foram tocar pela primeira vez na Alemanha, né? Eles tinham colocado Ilsa no setlist. E aí o manager falou, evita tocar essa música porque, né, sabe como é que é? Eles, não, como assim? Não, tá Alemanha, né? Coisa e tal, daí eles não queriam arrumar problema, né? Tá, tudo bem, não vamos tocar Ilsa e tal. Só que daí no meio do show os caras começaram a perguntar, tá, vocês não vão tocar Ilsa? Aí eles se obrigaram a tocar Ilsa e todo mundo... Sim. E todo mundo curtiu pra caralho eles terem tocado a música, porque o pessoal não entendia ali que aquilo não era pra pregar nazismo nem nada. Quem conhece a Ilsa... Quem conhece... E quem conhece a Ilsa sabe, tipo, quem via muito filme trash, que nem eu, sabe que aquilo ali é baseado, que nem ele mesmo falou, é baseado num filme, ele estava ali pelas tetas dela, não pelo pelo nazismo, né? Muito então tem essa coisa. A Ilsa também ela é uma trilogia, né? Eu acho que veio pra cá, eu não lembro quem foi que trouxe pra cá, mas é a Loba da SS o nome do filme. Traduziram fiel mesmo, assim. Eu sou Loba da SS. Mas ele era uma trilogia, depois veio pra cá. Tipo, tem vários filmes com ela, assim, até o Tarantino, acho que colocou uma versão dela num dos filmes dele, assim. Então, tipo, tem bastante, assim. Mas, de novo, que nem eu tava falando ali, né? Se a culpa é de alguém, é do indivíduo que propaga isso, não da banda, porque mesmo, né, que nem ele falou ali, as bandas norueguesas que tocaram fogos em em igrejas, coisas assim. Isso aí foi coisa que tá problema da cabeça deles,
culpa do Venom,
né?
culpa do Venom.
Isso é a cabeça deles, mas isso aí foi mais uma questão assim de o quão influenciado tu é, né? Então, na opinião dele, eu concordo com isso, tipo, a letra, ela é entretenimento, ela não tem nada a ver com pregar alguma coisa, né? Não tá ali pregando pra sair tocando
Sim.
fogo em todo mundo, pra queimar a Virgem e o Diabo 4, não. É entretenimento, é que nem um filme de terror. Tu não vai ver um filme de terror e sair matando gente. Claro. Né? Então, tipo.
Vai lá, Ivan.
Se tu...
Christian, vamos emendar outra aí?
Vai.
Eu queria fazer uma pergunta e uma. Eu acho que é quase uma assertiva. Ele é influenciado pelo Leme, porque ele sempre usou os baixos Rickenbacker. E o Leme também colecionava artigos de guerra. Não sei se já foi falado isso antes de entrar.
Já, a gente comentou um pouco ali no começo, ali, das influências dele, assim, né? Mas,
certo.
Né,
então já vou emendar outra. Por que ele demorou 20 anos para lançar o terceiro álbum?
Sim,
e o terceiro álbum veio bem parece que eles não pararam. Veio numa sequência matadora, assim, de...
na verdade, eles não pararam, eles continuaram, eles estão sempre ativos, só que eles só não estavam fazendo show mesmo, assim. Sem lançar mesmo, assim. Ivan is asking about the delay of the third album, né, Fidel?
Well, of course we know about, at least here in the States, the big grunge takeover of 1990 and 91.
Yeah.
It poisoned a lot of stuff here. The metal world was going up and up and up, and then grunge hit, and it stalled. It stalled everything, and that was the same time we were in negotiations with doing the next album with New Renaissance, and there were some problems with money, and we wanted to go back with Alex, and we wanted to record the new album. You know, the idea is you make a better album each time. You're willing to take sacrifices in the beginning when it comes to production and money, but as time goes on, you want a better production, and of course these things cost money. And at the time, metal had stopped off, and the money just wasn't there. So we kept playing, we kept touring around and playing live, and we kept writing music, but the negotiations kind of stalled with New Renaissance, and they kind of stopped doing everything. And nobody wanted to sign a metal band then. So in the early 90s, so we had families. I had a young daughter, and so I'm working to make a living, right? And playing when we can, and we kind of just stopped. Really, we never broke up. We were still very good friends. We talked almost on a daily basis, but playing, our lives got filled with other things for the majority of the 90s, and then then we started getting calls about doing shows and going to Europe and all this other stuff. I was like, hey, man, what do you think? They're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So, that's really what happened during the 90s is we kind of weren't doing anything. But we never officially broke up. You know, it was...
It was just like time.
It was a big break, you know, and...
Yeah, we could say that the break was good because I remember that lots of bands were forced by the record labels to release something linked to grunge that time, and it was horrible.
That's a great point. The other thing was a lot of bands were feeling like they had to change what they were doing to stay relevant, right?
Yeah.
If I don't change the way, we're not going to be accepted. We can't just keep playing metal. You know, we keep playing this. We have to add something. So, you know, we decided we weren't going to go that way. We'd rather just, you know, the way it worked out is the way it worked out. I think it was for the best.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like at least there was no stay in the past or something like that when we talk about thrash metal bands.
There was no Cherry Orchard.
Well, Tom really regrets about that for sure. Although I have to say that I like the album, but it can't be compared to the other ones. It's like no way, there's no comparison.
I mean, that album really shows the point I was making, where bands were scrambling to try to stay relevant in those times. Right?
Yeah,
and their hair was getting bigger, and they were trying to, you know. I can't say I blame them, but you know, it's
that time was fighting for survival. Actually, nobody was really.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give the Portuguese version here. Okay. Bom, falando aí do tempo que eles ficaram parados, na verdade eles nunca ficaram parados, tá? Eles estavam lidando com a vida deles, ele tinha uma filha pequena, coisa e tal, e aí aconteceu o quê? O grunge, né? Pra variar, fudendo com todo mundo, fudendo com as bandas de metal, porque as gravadoras não queriam mais lançar. As gravadoras não tinham muito dinheiro também, né? Então, tipo, que nem eu falei ali, muitas bandas foram fortes lá na década de final de 80, 90, na verdade, quando começou o grunge, a meio que morfar pro estilo para sobreviver, né? Tanto que ele falou ali, né? Pelo menos o At War não lançou nenhuma Cherry Orchids, né? Que é o que ele quis dizer com tinha que lutar para sobreviver, né? Tipo, aquilo ali tu vê que a banda tava realmente nessa ideia também. O metal tava afundando na década de 90, justamente quando o Celtic Frost lançou o Coldplay, que foi o tiro no pé ali, né? Ali foi uma época que o metal estava afundando. Para nós aqui no Brasil, não. Até depois eu vou falar para ele isso. É interessante isso que, para nós, em 90, foi a década que o metal realmente começou a estourar aqui dentro de uma maneira que a gente nunca tinha visto. Quem conhecia metal da década de 80, por exemplo, como a gente aqui, que é velho, sabe que a gente escutava pouca coisa comparado com o que a gente teve acesso na década de 90, né? Claro que a gente tem coisas que eu quero conhecer ali, mas vamos lembrar da década de 80 que a gente escutava Scorpions misturado com Venom, misturado com Sepultura, porque era o que tinha, não tinha porra nenhuma pro cara escutar, de quem conseguisse alguma coisa. Então, diferente dos Estados Unidos, enquanto o grunge estourou aqui também, só que aqui teve um parâmetro duplo, né? Tipo, os dois se estouraram quase que juntos no Brasil. Tanto o grunge quanto a febre metal dos anos 90 que bateu em todo mundo e todo mundo virou metaleiro, né? Então os hard rock. Então, tipo, ele prefere ter ficado parado ali, né? Aí, então, enquanto eles estavam parados...
Parada estratégica. E passar o ciclo de novo, né?
Isso, mas eles continuaram tocando. Ele tinha o emprego dele, coisa e tal. Enquanto isso, começaram a pedir para eles fazerem show na Europa. Eles começaram a fazer o show na Europa, coisa e tal. Teve aquela coisa. Então, ele tem esse orgulho de não ter nenhuma mancha no coisa e o som do At War tá ali. É o que ele é fiel àquilo ali. Né? Ele não sofreu essa. Não precisou se matar para sobreviver que nem outras bandas que tiveram que se adequar ao som para conseguir alguma coisa. Eu vou só falar para ele esse adendo aqui da década de 90 aqui. Just to let you know about the difference here in Brazil and the United States. We have lots of bands, metal bands in the 80s, but the heavy metal scene in Brazil really happened in the 90s here. So we were affected by both grunge and heavy metal at the same time. Thrash metal, death metal, it was all coming to Brazil at the same time. In the 80s, we were like listening to Venom, Sodom, Scorpions, everything mixed, because we didn't have much information, or sometimes we didn't have much albums released here in Brazil, so it was different. You know, like just to update you about the different situation. We know that grunge had like a very definite point to scramble to lots of bands in the beginning of the 90s there in the United States, but here in Brazil was different.
That's something I'd like to say too. I think that it was Europe. Europe didn't give 1 ounce of care about the grunge scene. They continued on with the metal, and they acted like grunge never even existed. South America too. The metal stayed pretty safe and pretty just kept going, you know. And Japan as well. The States was really influenced. The scene just got turned on its head. And and I personally want to thank the European crowd, the European metal fans, Japanese metal fans, and especially the South American and Brazilian in particular fans for keeping the faith when it came to metal. And because if it wasn't for you guys, if we had to rely on the United States, we would have been a dead band a long time ago.
Sure.
But it's because of the love and faith and keeping it true down in South America and Europe and Japan that allowed us to make a second coming. you know, that allowed us to start playing the places that we wanted, which allowed us to come down and open for Exodus in Brazil and Chile. And, you know, these are things that I'm most grateful for. That you guys kept it in your heart. And that's important. And it means a lot to me, and I know to a lot of everyone in the metal world, really, I think.
Ele estava falando aí justamente sobre isso, né? Ele sabe um pouco que na década de 90, né, os Estados Unidos foi o que mais foi afetado pela cena grunge. Na Europa parece que nem existiu, nem tem sinal. No Japão também não tem sinal. E aqui na América do Sul também. Não fez um estrago, porque a gente teve os dois lançados ao mesmo tempo, né? Teve muita coisa, mas a gente tinha uma cena fiel ao heavy metal, né? E ele agradece justamente isso aos fãs brasileiros por se manterem fiéis ao At War, né? Também aos fãs do Japão e da Europa por se manterem ali fiéis, né? Principalmente aqui na América do Sul, coisa e tal, por continuarem escutando esse tipo de metal ainda. Se dependesse só dos Estados Unidos, eles já estavam acabados, porque realmente o grunge causou um estrago grande lá. Virou a cabeça de todo
popular,
mundo. Né? E as gravadoras queriam aquilo, né? Então, tipo, o que aconteceu foi isso, assim, tipo, eles não sentiram aqui o efeito, nós também não sentimos aqui o efeito, porque, como eu disse, na década de 90, que nós começamos realmente a ter acesso, né, até para a gurizada mais nova aí saber, na década de 90, época do excrementíssimo Fernando Collor de Mello, nós tivemos acesso a muita coisa importada, coisa que não existia na década de 80, e tu tinha que pagar teu rim para conseguir alguma coisa. Então,
o At War, ele trouxe até estética, né? Visual mais war metal aqui pro Brasil.
Isso.
Isso. Fala para ele também, pergunta para ele pra gente ir se encaminhando sobre os shows no Brasil em 2019. Eles tocaram aqui.
Okay. If I is asking about your remembrances about the 2019 concert here in Brazil, Setembro Negro.
It was fucking insane.
Yeah.
I was backstage with Sean before we went on, and I looked at Sean. I said, "Dude, do you think that at our age in 2019, that when we started this band in 1983, that we would be about to go on stage opening for Exodus in fucking Brazil?" And he looked at me and goes, "No way, dude." So we were out there, and I remember like that it was like yesterday. I mean, and the crowd response was just, I mean, I got to hand it to you Brazilians, man. You guys really know how to attend a show. At one point, the pit's going off, and there's somebody in the crowd with the road flare shooting flames up 20 feet. And, you know, that would never happen in the States. That's what makes it so cool, you know? I mean, that show, September Negro, was awesome. It was such a good time.
Yeah, people who went there loved it. Like, it's still one of the concerts that most of the people talk about here in Brazil, about the opportunity to watch it. I didn't have that opportunity. I saw Exodus here in Porto Alegre, and it was amazing too. They were amazed by the concert too, because it was in a small place. It was a small house, a concert venue, and they got crazy about the audience, because like the mosh pit was like something surreal. It was a turmoil of people, like they were like, oh my gosh. Ok. Ele tava falando aí sobre o Setembro Negro, né, que pra ele foi uma coisa louca, assim, foi fantástico. Ele nunca imaginou, assim, né, em 2019, que eles iam abrir pro Êxodos, tocar no Brasil com uma multidão tão louca e com um mosh pit tão desgraçado e insano que nem é no Brasil, assim, né. Ele nunca, o At War tocando, né, ele falou, a gente montou a banda em 83, nunca imaginaram que iam ver isso aqui, porque isso nunca aconteceria nos Estados Unidos com eles, né? Então, tipo, não é uma coisa que eles esperariam, uma coisa que ele acha que aconteceria lá, né? O Setembro Negro foi um show que ficou na história deles ali, foi algo fantástico.
Todo mundo fala que
elogiado.
Quem foi? Eu falei pra ele, quem foi no show, fala até hoje que foi um dos melhores shows, né? Até porque foi a oportunidade de ver eles aqui ao vivo pela primeira vez também, né? Então foi algo fantástico mesmo, assim.
E para encerrar o bate-papo, Christian, pergunta para o Paul aí quais são as expectativas para 2022, né? Shows também embaçado, o álbum, enfim.
Sim. Okay, Jay is asking about your expectations. My cat is running around. Like she's crazy. Yeah. So Jay was asking about the expectations for the new year, about new album too. If you were going to wait more to release, and for the concerts, we have to like hope we can have concerts in Brazil too. I think Setembro Negro, and also we hope to have you playing in Brazil again. That would be awesome. So tell us your expectations.
So one of my goals in life is to come back to Brazil and South America.
Yeah.
I love it down there so much. I've so many friends. It's always a good time. It's never questionable. It's always a good time. Expectations for this year is that right now we have 2 shows booked, which is Maryland Death Fest, which has been put off twice so far. And we're bound and determined to do that, and it looks like it's actually going to happen. I think for the most part in the States, a lot of mandates are lifting, and people are going about their business the way they used to, and it's only in the big cities where you're still seeing pockets of restrictions. So I think it's looking better, but it's, we've gotten used to being let down. We book shows, they get canceled. Book shows, they get canceled. So we're kind of, before we start really pushing to book a lot more shows, we're going to give it a little more time. We have another festival in Texas that's been put off a couple years as well, which is still, we're not sure it's going to happen. So the Destroying Texas Fest is another one that we've been wanting to do for a long time, get out to Texas. So those are really the only things we have booked right now. But I think probably by midsummer, everyone should know where the world lies when it comes to music. I mean, to festivals. And we're already talking about maybe making an appearance in England and back to some festivals in Germany in 2023. So once those start to come to fruition, then we're going to start pushing more to do more shows. As far as new music, let me tell you this. There's 3 people in this band, right?
Yeah.
This guy right here wants nothing more than to put a new album out.
Yeah,
and I'll just leave it at that when it comes to when it comes out. I'm always pushing, and I'm on your side, everybody. I'm on your side. I want to see a new At War album sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we really expect that. Just to let you know about Infidel, it was like very welcome here in Brazil. It was amazing. It is a continuation of Order to Kill. No stain, no new things. It kept the spirit alive, and that's why I think all the people kept the faith on At War, and that's why we really expect a new album, because we know what is to come. It's like not a bad surprise or something like that. We know exactly what to expect from you, and for sure it's going to be something great to bang the head and go moshing like crazy.
You told me, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna give the Portuguese version here and then we can finish. Bom, falando ali sobre as metas, né, dele agora, a primeira maior meta dele é voltar para o Brasil, com certeza, né? Eles já têm 2 shows agendados, o Maryland Death Fest, que ele já foi adiado 2 vezes, mas eles estão aprendendo a conviver com essa coisa de, né, agenda cancela, né? Tem um no Texas, né? 2023, né, tá para ter alguns shows já programados, né, para Inglaterra, né, e para Europa no geral, assim, a Alemanha, desculpe, né, Inglaterra, Alemanha tem 2023 já programado, mas como ele falou, não dá para criar muita expectativa porque a agenda cancela, né? Então, tipo, ele tá bem ansioso, né? Ele falou ali que a banda tem 3 cabeças e ele é o que mais está ansioso aí para fazer um material novo, né? Tem estão planejando isso, né? E ele agradece bastante o pessoal daqui por se manter fiel à banda, assim. Também eu adicionei ali, né, que o Infidel, ele mantém bastante a tradição do Order to Kill viva, né? Não tem mancha, não tem nada, é uma continuação que é o que tu queria ouvir, né? Não é moderno, não é moderno, não tem nada não tem nenhuma surpresa desagradável, né? Então é um álbum que realmente fez o pessoal se manter fiel aqui. Eu vou pedir então para ele deixar uma mensagem para os fãs aqui, né? E a gente pode encerrar daí. Okay, Paul, thank you very much for your attention and your patience with us. Okay, it was a real pleasure to talk to you, and we would like you to leave a message to the fans here in Brazil and all the world and people that are watching us.
My message to the fans is thank you so much for the years of support for At War. And I can't tell you how much we love the Brazilian fans and all the people in South America, especially Brazil, because you guys have really been supporting us just about more than anyone else throughout the entire, 40 years now that we've been around. And it's a deep place in my heart. It means a lot to me. And my message is to keep the faith, keep supporting metal. And just do what you guys do, because you do it the best. You do it the best. I can speak for all of us. I say that we love you, and that we are coming back to Brazil. I've still got plenty of miles left on me, and I'm going to waste some of them down there in Brazil. You can count on that.
Yeah, sure.
And I also want you to know that it's been a long time since Infidel, and I'm definitely pushing for a new At War album. So it's in my heart as well. And thanks again to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That was great.
Miranda acertando.
Isso aí.
Então, só para acabar ali, né? Ele fala que se sente muito grato, agradece aos fãs do Brasil, né? Pretende realmente voltar para cá. E desde do Infidel, né? Ele sabe que ele tá planejando algo novo, né? E ele agradece todo mundo por manter a fé na banda, que manter a banda viva, né? Então, 40 anos já que a banda tá aí e o pessoal não perde a fé, né? Tá, os fãs e ele tá louco para esse retorno aqui no Brasil, né? E fazer esse show e também já para preparar um material novo para saciar nossa fome aqui, né? Então, vamos lá então.
Muito bom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, obrigado. Boa noite. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah!
Keep metal alive. Galera, obrigado.
Thanks, guys.
Subscribe the channel. Aí, enfim, fiquem ligados que a gente aí vai tentar trazer sempre um nome aí bacana para conversar com a gente do metal. Obrigado, thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, bye.
Thank you.
Christian.
Bye, bye.
Obrigado.
Valeu, obrigado. Obrigado a todo mundo aí que vai assistir
Valeu.
a gente aí. Se inscreva no canal, toque no sininho e faça o pacote completo. Um abraço.
Yeah.